In this episode, we speak with Richard Winston, Global Financial Services Lead at Slalom. Richard oversees strategic direction and drives innovative growth, partnerships, and community across all segments. Winston's commitment to excellence and innovation has positioned him as a thought leader in the industry, championing strategies that not only drive operational efficiency and competitive edge, but also foster significant growth. Prior to Slalom, Winston began his career in financial services at Accenture, where he gained invaluable insights into the power of technology in transforming traditional financial services. I'm your host, RJ Lumba. We hope you enjoy the show. If you like the episode, click to follow.
RJ Lumba is the Executive Chairman of Market Insight Media and Managing Partner of GrowthCap. He is the host of Top Consultant, a podcast featuring today's best consultants who advise and provide services to corporations, governments, nonprofits, and other organizations. Executives and key decision makers tune in to Top Consultant to identify the most knowledgeable and experienced consultants for their most important projects.
Richard, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. It's a delight to be with you.
RJ, it's a pleasure to be with you as well.
Where I'd like to start is your focus area, which is the financial services industry. Tell us about the organization within Slalom that focuses on the FinServ space.
So I lead Slalom's financial services practice that spans banking, insurance, and capital markets. I've been in this role since 2023, early 2023. This is my second stint at Slalom in financial services. My prior one was more focused in the local market in the DFW area. But this role is a global role and spans all segments of our financial services business, which is Slalom's largest business segment across all of our industries.
And roughly, what's the size? Like, can you give us a sense for the breadth of your organization, like number of consultants or people on the team?
From a financial services perspective or a Slalom perspective?
Financial services.
So Slalom is a Seattle-based consultancy. We're in a little over 50 markets and about 12,000 practitioners. And within that, we have about 2,500 that focus on financial services across all of our segments: banking, insurance, capital markets, wealth management, payments, et cetera.
Excellent. This is a first for me in that I don't think I've interviewed a consultant who has been with an organization for 30 years, and that was in a predecessor organization, Accenture.
Yep.
You rose kind of through the ranks there. Tell us a little bit about the beginning part of your career and kind of the expertise you developed.
Yeah, I spent my career in financial services consulting, and the majority of that time was with Accenture. I had a wide range of roles and experiences there, starting from literally walking out of college and into Accenture. And back in those days, it was the Management Information Consulting Division of Arthur Andersen. Went through many transformations, including when we went public in the early 2000s, about the time I made partner. My whole focus and my whole time with Accenture and in my career after Accenture has been focused on financial services, a lot of it in banking, but also in other areas, including insurance brokerage, capital markets, payments. And so it's been a wide-ranging career. The other part of being with Accenture is it is a very global firm. And I had the opportunity to be in and out of dozens and dozens of financial services firms, work with many different types of institutions. And it just is a great foundation for a career, having spent time with a firm like that. I was also briefly with AWS, which is also another large global scale firm.
Mm-hmm.
That was a brief period, but a great experience, and learned a lot there before returning to Slalom in this particular role.
And now with Slalom, is there a particular client engagement maybe you could point us to where it really showcased what your firm can do for a company?
Yeah, Slalom focuses on kind of three key areas, and just to kind of keep it simple. So unlike Accenture, that tends to have a lot of outsourcing business, offshoring, the whole scale of the enterprise is just very different. Slalom grew up out of being a more local firm. So our model historically had been, local markets and all the capabilities within a market. As our clients became more multi-city, or as we call it, multi-market, we had to transition into being able to meet clients where they are, and a little less of the local and a little more of kind of global scale capabilities that we could bring to them. And so that has given me a different, kind of lens on building a global team to support the local market team, so we can bring both the best of what we do from a local market be in the places where our clients are living and working to bringing real true expertise at global scale and the best resources, whether it's a banking resource or capital markets, bringing them the best resources to do the work that we need to do with them.
Now, I guess within those three areas, I mean, intelligence was the third you mentioned, but is there any particular kind of technology or strategy that you think many of your clients would benefit from, but they're maybe not actively pursuing it?
When I did my first stint with Slalom in 2016, that was where cloud was really starting to catch on. Financial services firms, and one of the great things that I've loved about my career is banks in the early part of my career were always considered technology laggards. And now banks are really technology firms that happen to be in the business of, managing money and protecting assets. And that transformation really came to fruition in the time of cloud, where they kind of shifted from being on mainframes to on cloud, and then taking advantage of the data providers that then came along, like a Databricks or a Snowflake and others. And that whole transition has really provided us the opportunity to work with them as partners in that transformation. And so it's been a really rewarding experience to have the opportunity to see these companies transform into being technology first companies and being partners with them and helping them navigate that journey and drive really high value outcomes around building customer experiences, understanding their customers from a hyper personalized perspective, being very efficient in the back office. And now, we have to run hard to keep up with them. They're not the laggards anymore. A lot of times they are the leaders, but they're also in regulated industries. And so they have to be slower to pursue new and emerging technologies. AI is the best example of that currently. It was cloud in 2016. Now it's AI. So it's this kind of dynamic or tension between adopting these new technologies, but also being able to use them in a regulated environment where they know that the regulators are going to come in and ask a lot of questions, want insight into what they're doing, how those things are working, how the customer data is protected, how decisions are made, critically important. All of that is a whole new domain in the area of intelligence that I was describing. And that has been really an interesting and challenging perspective that in other industries, aren't as relevant or important.
Typically, when we think of the sphere of consulting and technology, we think of the firm consultancy helping a traditional, say in this case, financial services company transform to become more technologically advanced. On the flip side, do you work with any fintech or technology first companies within financial services?
Yeah, banks and financial services firms are technology first today. They have to be. They have to deliver customer experiences across digital devices. They have to have all the data at their fingertips to serve their customers, both to protect them from a fraud perspective and to enable them to do things that they want to do in their financial lives. So I would say today, all firms, especially the banks and the insurers and the capital markets firms, they're all technology first. And what we're doing now is to help them adopt some of the newer and emerging technologies that either they don't have the teams or the resources or the experience to deliver on their own, and we come in and help them do that. One of the things that's different about Slalom than some of our bigger competitors in the industry is we don't do outsourcing related work. We have a nearshore practice, but we're not looking to move in and take over a whole department and rebuild the technology and do the work ourselves. Our motivation is to work with clients that want to change quickly. So how can we accelerate that change? How can we accelerate that realization of value? And how can we get in, do the project work that they've asked us to come and do, and then move on to another client? And we build that base of experience over time and have those experiences to bring to others, but we're not there to park and become full-time in the four walls of those institutions. We're in to help them get the value that they're looking for from the project work that they want to do with us and the domains where we have expertise, bring that value, and then we move on and either do other things for them because they like what we did, or we go on to other places and do similar type work.
And do you have a target size for your client base?
We don't. We have clients that are $5 billion community banks, credit unions, and we work with the SIFI banks and largest insurers and brokers and capital markets firms. So we range from Goldman Sachs and TD to local and regional community banks, small insurers. We do work with some of the small fintechs. They tend to be pretty sophisticated from a technology perspective, where we often work with them as in partnership. So we work the broad spectrum from the smaller firms all the way up to the largest institutions.
And Slalom is in a unique category, and it's been one of these more growing consultancies. It's not, I would say like the huge majors like we were talking about, Accenture and Deloitte, but yet it has great kind of brand recognition, and the sentiment is there for the brand with technology leaning. Tell us a little bit about the culture there and what makes it unique.
What makes it unique are a couple things. Slalom was founded in the early 2000s. Our leaders that founded it, Brad Jackson and Tony Rojas and John Tobin, who were our founders, are still here. Brad is a visionary. He is very out in the public. He spends most of his time visiting our locations and being with clients. And that perspective, when they started it, the emphasis was on the local market, building all of the capabilities. We had general managers, they were in local markets, and they built their teams around kind of delivering all of the capabilities out of that individual market and not having kind of the Accenture, a bunch of resources that traveled all around. It was really the opportunity for consultants that wanted, to be at the top of their game doing consulting, but didn't want to be on the road 4 or 5 days a week. And so it was a local model perspective. And where that broke down a little bit is when you're working with a Bank of America or a JP Morgan. They're in 10 cities in North America, let alone, the other 15 locations they have globally. And so clients, there's been a bit of a shift to, being able to bring the best capabilities wherever we need to be able to do the work, but also having that local presence and sensibility that I think differentiates us from the big firms. There are locations where the people in the community are doing the work at those institutions. And that really drives a different dynamic when you're showing up at the same places and on the same ball fields and in the community with others. And we have tried to maintain the best of that local presence and sensibility with global capabilities. And the main driver that really changed the dynamic was COVID. We, like everyone else, had to figure out how to be working out of our homes and delivering. We did not slow down. In fact, those were two of, kind of the most recent best years that Slalom has had. And we had to shift to new ways of working, and institutions had to shift to new ways of working. We are really starting to get back. It's not fully back to how it was kind of pre-2020, but it is largely moving in a direction of having more on-site work, but not all the time, every time. And so ways of working changed. That again fed back into this loop of being in the local communities and having that local presence paired with global skills and capabilities. And now we can bring those local capabilities not by flying them in, but by bringing them in through tools that are available that emerged during the COVID time.
One of the key aspects to ensuring a firm remains competitive is recruiting the right talent. How do you go about doing that? Are there particular characteristics you look for in candidates?
Ooh, two different questions. So a lot of our consultants are ex-Big Four large firm consultants that for a variety of reasons wanted to be more community focused, wanted to be less on the road, wanted a smaller firm experience, but consulting at the same level. And so we do not recruit out of college. We've tried a couple of experiments in that world, but primarily we are an experienced hire firm. And what we are looking for is not people that are ready to kind of decelerate their career, but just want to have a bit of a different focus and be potentially more local, travel less, continue to serve their clients at the highest level. So what we look for is deep skills and expertise, and increasingly deep skills and expertise with industry focus. That's been another big pivot point for Slalom over the last couple of years, as we've gone to this more global model, a little less of the kind of local resources, having all of that self-contained in a single geography, but building deep industry expertise, because we can't show up to talk to a manufacturing firm with a person that all they know is healthcare. Banks and financial services firms more broadly, in my experience, want you to come in and be able to speak the language that they speak, use the same taxonomies, know the systems that they use very well. And so when we think about hiring for my team and our industry teams, it's very much about depth of industry skill. And then when we think about kind of who we hire in the local markets, it's deep technology and change management and kind of focused expertise that we can combine with our industry expertise and bring the best to our clients and serving them in our markets.
Excellent. We're entering the tail end of the conversation. I have two final questions. One is, can you tell us about a person who has had a profound influence on you?
In a long career, you have a lot of people. And, it's funny. I knew that question was coming, and it's a bit of an emotional question, but I really gave this one a lot of thought. So I want to take a minute to just kind of take a breath and say this. There were two partners at Accenture during my time there, one early and then one around the time I was about to make partner. And they really taught me the business of consulting. It is a unique and different business than other businesses. And they taught me about both being a partner and an advocate for our clients, leading by example, showing me what it means to be a leader, and not just in terms of expertise, but how you work with them and how you treat them and how you treat the people at our clients. They both believed in deep industry focus. And one of them in particular, when I was early in my career and picking financial services, it's kind of like picking a major in college. You don't know that that's what you want to do long term. But he said, be deep in industry, know a lot about a particular industry, and then build your technology skills. And that has served me really well. And those two partners were pivotal to me getting to partner and then having a long run of 12 years being a partner at a global firm. They are the two most impactful individuals that I would have to say in my career influenced the way I work today.
Excellent. Last question. Can you tell us about a charity, cause, or other endeavor that you're passionate about?
I am super passionate about the outdoors. I love photography. I love getting away from cell towers, being in the outdoors. There is a slight lens of financial services to it. I've traveled in some very remote places. I've seen what being banked and unbanked means. I'm excited about some of the satellite technologies that are emerging and can bring financial services to the back countries of many remote places that don't have full-time wireless services today, and satellite technology may bring that. But my passion space is being in the outdoors, getting out of the office, getting out of the city, being in the mountains and spending time in nature, just to have that opportunity to reset my focus and my energy.
Wonderful. Well, Richard, I want to thank you again for taking the time for this conversation. It's been a great one.
Thank you. I appreciate it, RJ.